So we have day 3, and today we're working on Titibhasana and Ekapada Kundayasana, to the best of my ability to say that. So it's probably butchered, I apologize. But the Ekapada Kundayasana is your flying lizard. So both instances where we're stretching the hamstring, flexing the hip, at least on one side, and we're using those low plank elbows. So to get you a little bit warmed up for that super stretch, we're going to start in your reclined position. So you can hang out on your back for a moment. If you want to grab a strap, a towel, even a dish rag will do. Otherwise, you're just going to work with your knee. Otherwise, if you can reach for your toes, great. Tuck that right knee in towards your chest. And you can let it fall out towards the armpit a little bit. So it's kind of like a little half frog, but you want to engage the left leg and the left glute. So that's the other trick to these arm balances. Right, we're so focused on trying to get into the actual posture, where to put our arms and our face and balance and not fall, that we tend to forget about the leg that is behind us, or in this case, below us. So letting your knee open a little farther, you can decide to reach for your big toe if you'd like. Doesn't mean you need to extend the leg. It just might offer a little bit of leverage. You can kind of kick into your hand, pull the shoulder gently behind you, and let your leg open a little to the side, yeah. Left arm can reach out to the other direction for a little bit of balance. We're just gonna breathe here, 3, 2. You wanna start to squeeze your inner thigh, squeeze that right biscuit. So the strength, that coactivation is gonna assist, sort of facilitate the stretching of your muscle tissue. And then as you draw yourself slowly up and over, we'll come right to a supine twist, or you can stick with the revolved Utthita Hasta variation. Your call. It's going to depend on how you're feeling this morning, so or afternoon, evening, whenever you're taking this class. So as always, making all of your modifications, anything that you need. Right, no stress. And then as you come back through center, we'll scooch the hips underneath us, and we'll simply take it to the other side. So knees up, falls a little bit wide. And you're starting to relax as much as you can, reserving the strength for the right leg, both glutes. And if you're working with your foot or your toe, you're going to kick a little into your fingers, your hand, or whatever you're using as leverage to activate the strength, right, to help facilitate that stretch. Let the knee peel a little farther open, and you can start to breathe a little more on purpose. It doesn't need to go from 0 to 100, but start to take longer breaths in. Maybe start to rinse the breath out so you're active in the belly and pelvic floor. One more generous breath here. Activate the toes, give everything a little squeeze through the hips, and then melt over through center. That left leg's going to come across the body for either supine twist or revolved Utthita Hasta. So just doing a little bit of inventory, noticing all the things that are happening in your body. If you're tight anywhere, sore anywhere, you're like, not yet. That happens in a little while. No stress. As always, you can come back to these as many times as you'd like, hit pause, take a few whacks, but still trusting that a little dab will do you, and you'd be surprised where you end up even towards the end of this week. So try not to stress your brain, try not to stress any of your joints, and whatever you got going on today, just trust that it's enough, okay? Through center when you're ready, hips underneath you, rocking and rolling. And we're gonna rock right up through seated to open up the legs, straddle stretch. It's not about getting your legs as far as humanly possible. You just want to be able to engage the quads, squeeze the knees, make sure you can flex the ankles, give the toes a wiggle. You want to stay active. And then we're going to sit up nice and tall to tilt the tailbone. So you can move flesh out from underneath those sit bones, and we're going to start to hinge forward, trying to keep a long spine at first so that you're hinging as much from the hips first. And then maybe your forearms come down, maybe your heart is resting on half of your couch, a bolster, a block or something. Your forehead could do the same. Or maybe it just feels good to actively stretch here. And you don't need to stay perfectly still. If it feels good to take more of a lateral stretch over one thigh, or walk your palms over to another side. Again, you're feeling your way into your body here. So this is pretty much the setup for your TT Basana, in terms of your legs anyways. So, love it. Get to know it. Maybe slight bend in your knees is helpful, right? Just gonna take 3 more breaths. If you wanna take tortoise, arms in the full tortoise, or at least the initial part of it, is arms are lacing underneath the knees. You might not have that flexibility. That's okay, especially since we literally just got on the mat. So maybe you just extend the arms out over on top of the knees as you fold. Kind of work in that direction. You know, there's no extra bonus points for any of the variations, so I think the only bonus points come if you take care of yourself in the form of maybe 40 years from now, your body's still thanking you for doing that. So when you're ready, just slowly come out of that, and we're going to move towards your half pigeon. So again, a little into the hamstring, a little more of the hinging at the hip, folding over, a little stretch through the glute. 8, 7. And again, you're not stuck here, so maybe you're wiggling around through it. Maybe you've stayed a little bit lifted, or you're bending the back knee or something. That's okay. You can always set this up on your back, but keep in mind it's about the hinge. So if you are setting up figure 4 on your back, you want to do the variation where you're lacing your arms through and kind of hugging the thigh towards your chest. Still rinsing the breath. So just a hint of that Ujjayi breath. It doesn't need to be aggressive. But while you're here softening shoulders in your jaw, we're going to be a little more specific about the work that we're doing so that there's, you know, not wasted energy in clenching your jaw or holding on for dear life in the breath, when really maybe a little more activation in the quads, extending the legs in something like TT Basana is more helpful. So just be conscious about where the work is in your body, and then we'll come gently to the other side. Actually, I lied. Pause here, curl the back toes. We're going to kick right up into 3-legged dog. We'll try to make this a little smoother for you. So if it feels good to bend your knee, go for it. You can roll out ankles, wiggle toes. It's always nice to find a little bit of familiar space before we get into all the not so comfortable spaces. But one more good breath here. Make a squeeze, rinse knee to nose. Maybe round a little to step through your low lunge. I'm going to set up airplane arms here. So as you sweep arms behind you, palms are going to face the floor. And again, a little more about the hinge of the hip there. You want the legs to do the work. So 3 breaths, trying not to avoid the engagement of the legs. That's what we're looking for as we come into both your flying lizard and TT Basana. So as you press forward into your airplane, we're looking for the lift. Come on up, presto changeo. Yep. And we're going to lift that back heel. So we're really just, again, looking for a little hinge at the hips, mindful of the back leg that's going to fly when you find that lizard. And as you step back to low lunge, maybe there's room to sink a little deeper so that as you work your palms towards the floor, your back knee can come down. Otherwise, you're going to keep it straight, strong, lifted knee. Working forearms maybe onto a set of blocks, or maybe your forearms work all the way to the floor. For 3. All right, if you kind of made your way in on your own forearms, then see what it's like to curl those back toes and squeeze to lift the knee. You read my mind. And you got the ball of your back foot, so you can shimmy around, right? You can keep moving, finding little tiny itty bitty spaces of comfort. That's how you would describe it, right? Comfort. And then you can ditch the blocks, but find your palms We're going to work to extend your front leg on track to take Parsvottanasana stretch. You don't need to take the full-blown posture, but do extend the front leg on track. You can leave a little bend in the knee, but squeeze the knees, hinge again at the hips, and just try to work a little bit of hamstring stretch. That will happen more productively if you tilt your tailbone. So feel your sits bones drive up and back. 3, 2. And then we're going to bend a little into the front knee and step to your high plank. So you're going to take the blocks right in front of your fingertips for a moment. And we're going to set up that low plank, shoulders rest right on the blocks. So as you come down, we're going to pause here 5. Feel this work. This is exactly where you're going to be more or less in a moment. Right, your face is super close to the floor. Your whole body is activated. One more breath. Bring your knees down first. Press through high and upward facing or downward facing dog. Your choice. Hinge, hinge, hinge. And then we'll take half pigeon on the other side. So again, just 8 breaths or so, setting up any variation. Reminder, if you take figure 4 on your back, it's the version where you're lacing your arms through, kind of tucking your thigh towards your chest. We're looking for the hinge of the hips. So the stretch on the back side. Some hip muscles, but also trying to work through those glutes, hamstrings. You might even feel it up into your low back, depending on how tight you are. But again, conscious of where the work is in your body. So if you can soften your shoulders, your jaw, all of your facial muscles, even better. For 3. 2. And then when you're ready, lifting to find your palms. I'm going to curl the back toes and press right into 3-legged dog. So just peeling open. If it feels good to keep the leg extended, great. If it feels good to draw circles in the sky, do a little kung fu, great. Again, you're kind of exploring your body. You want to feel a little more lifted, a little more energetic perhaps. And then knee towards your nose to step through low lunge. Pause to activate equally through both hips. You want them level and square. We're going to set up airplane arms here. 3. Remember, you got the ball of your back foot, so if you need a little bit of buoyancy here, you can press a little front to back. And then we're going to press right up into airplane lifting. Strength of that back leg. Toe heel all the way around, no worries. Go grab a snack, come back. Here you are. Brilliant. We're going to step back to low lunge, sinking a little stronger, a little deeper, enough to get your forearms towards the mat. Maybe the first few breaths, your back knee is down. Remember, over time, we're working on lifting it. But settling in first, using a little bit of your Ujjayi breath, but trying to soften the shoulders a touch. And rinsing out the breath. 4, 3. Squeeze a little into the hips, squeeze that back quad. 2. You've pretty much done all of the things that are going to get you into these poses. So in a moment, that's where we're going to be. But for now, you're going to take a moment to get rid of the block. Find your palms. We're going to extend the front leg on track towards Parsvottanasana. It doesn't need to be the full expression. Your focus is on that front hamstring, so squeeze knees, move your hips a little side to side, but you're working on kind of tilting the tailbone up and back. For 2. And then a little bend in that front knee as you step towards high plank. We're going to set up these blocks right in front of your fingertips. Feels like great. Lowering shoulders to press. So it's not all of your weight sinking, right? You still have to press from the palms in order to keep the rest of you lifted and strong. Squeeze those powerful legs like you had a block between them. Lower your knees first. Upward facing. And when you're ready, tabletop this time. So we're going to get right into it. We're going to set up your flying lizard, which is basically that low lunge you just took. Ready, set. We're gonna step the right foot forward. Make sure you got that buoyancy, all about that back leg. It's straight, strong, squeezing, back knee is gonna stay lifted. You can compress off the ball of your back foot. For now, you're gonna lace the right arm under, so elbow comes under. Your arm is not over your head, not over your shoulder, just over the back of your tricep. Notice how palms are planted. You're gonna start to uchi, that right foot forward, a little diagonal. And then as you bend that left elbow, bring it to your side body, bring your face literally almost to the floor. Yeah. And then really kick that leg. Yeah. So you can see, you can see Pamela's made the adjustment for tight hamstrings. You can simply bend the front knee. So you want to try that on the other side. Again, you can pause and keep doing it. You keep your head behind, but save a little bit of energy, and then we can do it as many times as you'd like after the fact. But again, back leg stays lifted and strong. Pamela's gonna hook the left elbow under. Fan those fingers out. So watch her right elbow. As she starts to walk her front foot first, that front leg is strong. If you have stretch in the hamstring to keep the leg straight, great. But right elbow came to that right side body, face towards the floor, and then just little kicks. All about that back biscuit. Awesome. And then come on out of it. Very nicely done. Right, so again, back leg, use the ball of your back foot to press forward as you bend elbows. That free elbow's gotta come tuck right next to you, and you can bring your face right to the ground. It's literally a hair. Smooch your mat, and you'll be a little bit farther away in TT Basana, which is what we'll do next. If you think about taking both flying lizards and putting them together, it's pretty much where you are in TT Basana. So yeah, move those blocks out of the way. The first variation that we'll show you is coming from your Malasana, your squat pose. So if you're working on moving in this direction, sometimes we're gonna take 3-4 blocks underneath us. So if you have a stool or a chair that's up against the wall so it doesn't scoot out from underneath you, that would be an option to get underneath your bum. Because you need to lift your bum here, and then you're gonna start to hook those little elbows underneath. Now the whole time you're gazing up in front of you so that you don't tuck your head in. If you did, you could somersault, but Pamela's gonna start to walk her feet out at a diagonal, one at a time, so that she can bend the elbow and kind of have a little bit of the hamstring on it. She's gonna work on uchiing out the other leg. Again, I have the security blanket arm grip. And then as you lift your gaze and extend the legs, voila! And then the bum comes down. Awesome. So again, how to get into TT Basana, right? First, we need to be able to get the elbows under. When you come into it, you want to be able to frame the heel. So that might not happen. You might need to, right? You might need to work out one leg, find an elbow, work the other one, until you can kind of turn your palms enough so that you're kind of sitting, hanging out on the elbows. But in order to get up, right, it's the squeeze of those quadriceps and the buns of steel. So nice job. You make it look a little easier than it is. So getting the butt to lift will happen if you extend the legs. But there's also that Uddiyana Bandha. And so to emphasize that part of the lift, we're going to start from your straddle stretch. So you're going to come onto your bum again. Pamela's looking doubtful. And we're going to extend the legs out a little bit. And then we're going to drag your heels in just enough so you can start to get your elbows under. And this one's a little awkward, I have to say. And that's okay. You'll have a lot of work. So the gist is you are trying to, you can grab your feet for leverage. And we're drawing ourselves forward first, enough so you can hook the elbows underneath the thighs. And then you play a little game of walking your hands back
And as you lift, see if you can get the bum off the floor.
We're gonna edit this one. Maybe. We'll try one more time. Ready, go. With a little stomach crampage and some I think the little scream helps. But as you can tell, it is actually really hard. But that's the magical connection, is that Uddiyana Bandha, really the butt lift. And it's exacerbated if you start from the floor because you have no other option in order to get up to activate all of the things. So there are your two options. Take a couple whacks at it, have a little bit of fun, and we'll see you tomorrow, all right? Toodles.